Hello friends, my name is Miss Duckworth and I am so excited to be teaching your child physics this year. In this back to school night video, I'd like to kind of walk through who I am, what my class is, what to expect in my class, and how I can really loop you in on your child's education in physics. Some of my current physics students I actually had the privilege of teaching last year when I taught them chemistry. So for some of you, you may have met me already, you may have met me virtually already, but I still hope that this little video can shed some insight onto how my physics classes work and really what your child is going to be learning this year in physics. Yay! Firstly, I'd like to give a little introduction about who I am. So this is my third year teaching at Friends, and I love it here. I couldn't ask for a better place to teach. I love that the whole campus is so community-oriented and honestly really student-driven. I really couldn't ask for better students or better classes. So in terms of what else I do on campus though, I advise 3 clubs. I advise the Anime Club, the Women of Color Club, and the Programming Club. I'm also the Science Help Coordinator, which means that I have a group of peer tutors who are willing to help with science classes. So if any of my students would like some help in physics, I can definitely help coordinate, meeting up with a peer tutor. And this service is also free. In terms of my academic background though, so I grew up in Memphis, Tennessee. You're definitely gonna hear me say y'all a couple of times in this video. And then I went to undergrad at Mississippi State University where I majored in chemistry and minored in biology. I actually went there at the same time as Dak Prescott, so woo, Cowboys. Then after that, I actually went to grad school for chemistry and biophysics at Cornell University. So there was definitely a climate shock of going from the deep south to north in what I call the Arctic tundra. I earned my master's there, and then I actually transitioned down to Johns Hopkins to be with my husband, and I actually earned my a second master's at Johns Hopkins in biology and biophysics. I love being able to connect all the really cool research I did and all the cool techniques I learned back to what we're learning in class, so that the students can really see that science is not just static information in a textbook. It's actually some fun stuff that we can study. In particular, my favorite science subject is energy. Anything dealing with energy, woo, super excited to talk about. And I really like the second semester of physics because we start to delve into those energy topics. All right, so let's transition to me sharing my screen and walking you through what the expectations are in my class and other pertinent details like how to contact me and really how to best support your child in my class. So from here, I'm going to share my screen and walk you through the My Friends portal for my classes. Here we are in my view of my Friends portal. So let's navigate over to classes, and you'll see that I teach 1 block of accelerated physics and 3 blocks of physics. Now, all of the physics classes, so A, C, and E block, all will have the same topics page information. That's because we're covering the same content. In terms of the bulletin board though, that may change a little bit just for the specific class information like class location. So let's click on A block physics for an example. First up, you land on the bulletin board. So this is the landing page for every class. And in the bulletin board, first off, this will remain static through the entire year. So this is not where unit information, like lecture information, is contained. This contains stuff like where the classroom is, the syllabus, how to contact me, and also my office hours. So I always encourage my students to come by if they have any questions. I have a set of drop-in office hours, so no need to schedule an appointment, just stop on by, I'll be here. These are Monday through Friday, 3:30 to 4:30. So this is right after the last class, and a lot of students like to swing by and ask a question on their way out of the building. I also do by appointment office hours during M blocks. But I ask students to check in with me beforehand, so like by appointment, because sometimes I do have other M block meetings. So I just want to make sure that it actually works for both of us. Let's pop open the class syllabus. So let's pop that open. And so this is a pretty large document. I'm not going to walk through all of it today. That would take too long, but you do have access to it in the bulletin board. Instead, I want to just kind of highlight some of the sections of information in here. And if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. All right, so it has all my contact information, all that good stuff. It has the grading breakdown, so summative assessments like tests and projects. We have labs and quizzes. I'm so excited that we have labs again this year because we're in person, yes. And the smaller stuff like homework. All right, so tests and quizzes. I will always give advance notice on tests and quizzes. I don't like doing pop quizzes. I don't do pop quizzes. But I do give them advance notice in Assignment Center. So for example, a week out, I might say, tentatively, we are going to have a test a week from now. Then in terms of test remediation, all students are eligible to remediate their test grades. Whether they earned a 50%, an 80%, or a 95%, all students are eligible. All right, for the labs, I will touch upon this briefly in a moment, but basically the science classes have a weirdly positioned L block that happens every other cycle. So I'll touch upon that in a moment. All right, homework. So for homework, I encourage them to always do their best on it. I don't want them to just submit stuff just to get stuff submitted. If they're having trouble with something, if something's giving them particular grief, I encourage them to reach out. I'm always happy to give an extension if it means that they're gonna do their best on the work instead of just trying to get an answer down. All right, in-class expectations. Honestly, y'all, all my classes have been wonderful so far, and I hope that they keep being engaged and ask good questions, and honestly, they've been really great. So all good on that front. All right, so for absences, I just ask, stay in touch with me. I am very willing to, extend deadlines, work with students. Honestly, I just ask them to be in contact with me to keep that line of communication open. All right, so, that's kind of the crash course of the syllabus. So I'd like to go back for a moment and just touch on the L block kind of business. So in the cycle, science classes will meet during an L block once every other cycle. So I have this document, and during these L blocks, the students have to come at 8 a.m. as opposed to 8:55, so that we have that extra time for any lab time. So what I have actually done is I have input all of these dates, well, the appropriate dates, so for A block, for C block, for E block, and so on, into Assignment Center. So all of the students have these specific dates listed in their Assignment Center, so hopefully that is a good enough reminder for them to come earlier that day. Again, if you have questions about how this system works, please feel free to reach out. Let's take a look at the topics pages now. So I've actually switched into my accelerated physics section here, just so you can see kind of more of the topics. They've gotten a little bit ahead of my physics sections. So all of these topics pages are units, so units within the physics curriculum. And so, for example, Unit 0 was just welcome to class, kind of that stuff. Unit 1 was intro and math review, and Unit 2 is 1D motion. You'll notice this modern analysis one on the right, and I'm really excited about this one. So every couple of cycles, we take a class period, and we're going to learn how to read and analyze scientific literature, like actual journal articles. And I think this is a super duper important skill for them to learn, and I'm really excited about this. So I'm going to click on Unit 1 as a sample. All of my topics pages have the exact same infrastructure. So click on Unit 1. All of my topics pages follow this similar format. we have our unit, we have our topics, we have a little GIF. We have a link to the quick drive, which I'll click on momentarily. And then we also have our unit expectations and topics. So this is a breakdown of what we're going to cover. Again, all of the topics pages have this similar structure, just specific to the unit information. So this link to the quick drive, this is actually very, very important. I'm going to click on it. All of my quick drive links also follow a similar structure. So for every unit that we cover, we're going to have these 4 folders. So unit outline, lecture notes, where I post my lecture notes, lecture videos, which is where I post links to any lecture videos I have recorded, and all of the worksheets and any solutions. So this way, the students can actually create a shortcut to my unit materials, and then they can access it on their phone more easily, because navigating through My Friends like on your phone and like finding all this stuff is a little hard. It's a little time consuming. So this is kind of a quick way for them to open up Google Drive, click here on the shortcut. And yeah, so I like to provide a digital copy of everything. And I also try to provide them with a physical copy because I know that some of us like the physical copy a little better. All right, so that is our topics pages. The new units appear as we reach them. And kind of finally, I just want to tell you what your students are going to learn this year, like what topics. So here is a roadmap I have designed for physics and also accelerated physics. So the difference between physics and accelerated is that accelerated is a much faster pace, and it is a lot more quantitative. There is a lot more quantitative analysis and application of math skills in basically one context. So the physics classes, not accelerated, focus a little bit more on kind of qualitative interpretation, although we do also still do calculations. All right, so the classical mechanics roadmap. In this round of physics, we are learning classical mechanics. So as I kind of introduce this to the students, we thought about how there's motion everywhere, right? Cars outside, people walking on the sidewalk, the air molecules around us wiggling. So the main question we address in this class is, how can we describe and predict the motion of macroscopic objects? So stuff we can see. So we're not working with the air molecules in this class, we're working with the big macroscopic objects like cars, people. And so mechanics, the study of motion of macroscopic objects. And so we kind of have 2 sub-branches of mechanics that we're going to study here. Kinematics, which we're going to study first. This describes motion. So this is like displacement, velocity, all that good kind of classical physics stuff you think of. And we're going to learn about it in 1D and 2D. And I'm really excited because when we get to 2D, we're going to use our potato launcher. I'm so excited. I did this last year with my physics students. They had a blast, and I'm really excited to do again this year. All right, so once we learn about describing motion, we're going to figure out how motion interacts with itself. How do objects come together, interact? And that's going to be a lot of the laws of motion, forces, kind of the other canonical kind of classical mechanics stuff. So I also always open up some my introductory classes with, why do we care? Why do we care about how fast a car is moving? Why do we care about how fast the Olympic runners can run, right? And so I tell them, really, long-term, we're thinking applied mechanics, right? Civil, mechanical, aerospace, materials, biomedical engineering. Yeah, we're learning the foundations of how to think about the world around us. So with that, thank you so much, and Again, if you have any questions, let me know. I'm so excited to be teaching your child physics this year. Yay!